Hi, good evening again. I am so sorry. I did not realize I got disconnected till quite long into the went on and on and on, and I was wondering why do I just see the same few people commenting, and then finally I saw someone say disconnected. All right, let me see if I'm connected. So sorry about this because I'm really not so good with this. Am I connected? I don't see myself yet. Okay, I am connected. All right. Okay. Oh dear, I have to start the whole thing again. I think I should. Good evening, Mr. Lam. My apologies. I don't know if the same people will be on again. But anyway, I will restart everything. So today is a special live streaming session on the Parinirvana of His Eminence, his Tsem Rinpoche. So I began by giving a recollection of how I met Remji. So all of you guys probably have your own individual stories of how you have met Rinpoche according to whatever medium you went through. Because some of you guys have never personally met Rinpoche personally. You may have come across his teachings and you have been listening to him, following him on the blog, listening to his YouTube teachings and stuff. So what happens is maybe that's your method of that was how you connected with Rinpoche. Some people met Rinpoche once. Some people never met Rinpoche, perhaps got a gift. Some people came to Kechara, joined the activities through its various departments. You know, whichever way you've connected with Remji is a valid way, and it is a way that you had connected to Remji. So you have a special connection to Remji. You feel some kind of spiritual connection, spiritual affinity. It does not matter whether you have met Remji personally at this point. I know some of you guys. Oh, it's a pity that you've not met. That you felt that. You know, you missed out that Rinpoche is not around anymore, and you feel a sense of a lost opportunity, and that you may never gain again. But fret not, because Rinpoche's incarnation will come back, and this is why we have been doing all the things we've been doing of late, which is to construct the Stupa, which is the Stupa project. All right, so we have completed the first of two stupas, in 8 feet indoor stupa, very ornate, golden and beautifully carved indoor stupa, and we have enshrined it with mantras, according to tradition, with each level of the stupa containing different mantras, relics, holy items like well vases and tatsas and so forth. So you know, it's fully filled according to tradition, and it will be consecrated on the day itself, on the 4th. All right, so it will be most auspicious that we have managed to complete at least one of the two stupas, and the construction of the stupa is an instruction by Remji in order to find his incarnation, for us to find his incarnation. It's not for him. You see, what's the difference between Rinpoche and us when we die? All of us die. We have no control in the sense that of our body, in the sense that we can never live forever. So even Rinpoche would have to pass on, and so will we. All right, but the difference between Remji and ourselves is that Remji has the control and ability to return as in the human form and to accomplish, or rather to continue his work. We, on the other hand, will be tossed around by our karma. We will depend heavily on the little bit of Dharma that we have done in this life. That, you know, and we pray to the best of our ability to Dodishuten that he will deliver us to a good incarnation if we practice the Dharma. And so how well we practice the Dharma, how much we have purified, how much merits we've accumulated will be the fuel for our rocket to our next life. And I don't think any of us are that attained in the sense that, like Rinpoche, in the sense that we can control and we can be certain that we'll get a human rebirth. None of us at this point. So it is important to know this, and it is important to know the distinction between us and Rinpoche. So Rinpoche will definitely return, and the only thing is that for us is that we want to find his incarnation so we can create conditions for Rinpoche to fruition his previous life's prayers again, on when at a much younger age, so that he can accomplish a lot more in his coming incarnation. All right. So I think that's the crux of it, in the sense that why we're doing this. I just want to make sure that everybody is certain. So I spoke also a little bit about in the previous live streaming session that got cut off, about how I met Remji. I met Remji when about 17 years ago. I met Remji in the gym. I met him at that time, and I didn't know what a Remji was. Even if he told me he was a Remji, I wouldn't know what it was. I would be like, okay, wonderful, very exotic. But he did tell me that he was a lecturer of Buddhism. That piqued my interest, and I already had a intellectual interest in Buddhism, so it became a point of interest for me. And as far as I recall, I think I started asking questions about Buddhism and this and that, and he did explain to me, and it was interesting at the beginning. So it was only later, and I at that time I identified myself not as a Buddhist. I identified myself as a Christian, but I had a intellectual interest in Buddhism, and I was pursuing it, and I was trying to understand it. And it was perfect opportunity because Remji spoke really good English, so he could explain it very well, and I really enjoyed Remji's explanation, and I thought that it would be fantastic, so that's why I began to understand a lot more about Buddhism than I had before from reading books. I had read 1 or 2 books at that time. And so that was how I met Remji. Each of us have our own story. Each of us have our own experience of how we connected to Remji. My experience of connecting to Remji was very personal, in the sense that I met Remji personally. And at that time, I was saying that it was funny because Remji called himself Kai, because he was modeling at that time. He was in the gym. And I call him Kai. And then later on, when I found out that, he is a Rinpoche, and I found out what a Rinpoche is, I decided that one day, that I should address Rinpoche correctly. And when I did, Rinpoche said, no, you're not going to call me that. Just call me Kai. And I was like, but everyone else calls him Rinpoche, and I felt really weird. A little bit disrespectful as well. So what I did was I tried to skirt around it. I tried to avoid opportunities to address Remji. It is possible. So it was funny. It was weird. So I avoided addressing Remji directly. So in the end, it took me a while, and I don't know. I don't know what that was really about. Maybe perhaps I think perhaps it's just Remji's humility, and also perhaps he was trying to ease me into it, in a sense, because I come from a very, very different background. So Remji wanted to be sure that I was okay and then understand. I don't see much people. I see a lot of eyeballs, but I don't see much comment. Let me know if you're on. I only see Mr. Lam commenting though. So if you're on, please let me know. Good evening. Ask me questions. Give me a comment whether you like it. As far as I can tell, I'm still live. I should be still live. My apologies, because Pastor Naral, who usually assists me in this live streaming, he's quite ill. So he had been working very, very hard on the Stupa project. So he has fallen ill. And I thought I could handle this on my own. Usually I could. And only this time there was a bit of hiccup. So I had to be more careful next time. Anyway, so what happened was, yeah, that was my early experience. And the first teaching that Remji invited me to, and I don't remember much of the teaching already, but I remember what stood out from the teaching that made me, how do I say, that I was sold, that I decided I wanted to be Buddhist. Because before that, I was like on the fence, I'm Christian, I'm Buddhist, I'm Chris Boo, Christian Buddhist. So I was on the fence. I have not decided. And one of the things that Remji said in the teaching was that he was paraphrasing what the Buddha had said in another teaching, in which the Buddha said that feel free to take any teaching of mine if it applies to you, and apply it into your life. Practice it, because if it has an effect, then you should all the more practice it. So practice it, and if it does not apply to you, you do not need to practice. You can throw it. Of course, I'm not saying verbatim, with as in word for what Remji said or what the Buddha said, but something along those lines. But when I heard it, it was revolutionary for me. It was wow, it made a lot of sense, and I understood then why Rinpoche had made Buddhism so much more accessible to me, because he explained such a easy to understand, logical, simple, and in English, because I happen to be more well versed in English than any other language. So I just thought it was incredible, and I was blown away, and I thought, I think I'm a Buddhist. Yeah, I decided then and there. It was my first teaching that Remji, a formal teaching that Remji gave to a group of us. I don't know, about 20, 30 people. It's a small teaching comparison to the later teachings that Remji gave, but it was my first, and I will never forget it. And so I think it's important from time to time for all of us to recall why we enter the Dharma, the feeling of entering the Dharma, because it is important, especially when we encounter difficult times, encounter frustrations, people, setbacks in life, and then we remember why we entered the Dharma, and not give it up, because there are some times when obstacles, people, problem, and so forth, and then we feel like we want to give it up. We feel that you don't want to continue. That is the time that's most important, and you don't wait till that time comes. Then when you think about, we have to relive it from time to time. We have to recall it, and even our teacher, now that Remji is not around anymore, we can of course watch his teachings again and again and again. It is all completely all right to rewatch the teachings, and we should, even if you feel, what's the point? You already know it, but actually, trust me on this. Remji has a way of delivering teachings that every time you watch it, you'll glean something new. You'll gain something. Even if you don't gain a new insight or deeper insight or new understanding, it will be a blessing on your mind. And it will help you remember why you are attracted to Dharma, why you are practicing the Dharma. It is very important. Even the whole idea of celebrating Rinpoche's Parinirvana is also for this reason. Okay, so at this time, it's good to recall how we met Remji, what inspired us with Rinpoche's teachings, and as I just delivered to you, although doesn't seem to come up very clear this today, and my apologies for that. But it is important at this time, because we have to understand what Remji is about. He's not a person we wish to worship like a god. Remji is not a god. Remji is our teacher. He's our spiritual teacher. He's our Lama. He's our guru. He is our spiritual guide. So a spiritual guide in the Buddhist sense is not someone we worship as a God, as an almighty creator, as someone who grants our wishes. No. We have devotion to the teacher. Watch the word devotion, not worship, blind faith, or venerate. Have devotion to Remji because we recollect his good qualities, we recollect his compassion, we recollect his wisdom, we recollect the amazing teachings he has given us, the teachings that inspire us, that blows our mind away, and instill Dharma in us. So that's what Remji is about, and that's how you have faith. When we remember that, we reinstill ourselves. We kind of like recharge our spiritual battery, because our spiritual battery do get depleted, especially if we do. For most people who have life experiences. All of us do. It's impossible you don't have a life experience. Meaning, what's a life experience? Going to work, having family, going holiday, this and that. Eventually we meet nice people, we meet nasty people, we meet nice people, we meet nasty people. We have good times, we have bad times, more bad times, and then good time. And then sometimes along the way, we forget. We get distracted, most likely distracted actually. We get distracted and then we stray away. And that's why having the community, having Kechara, having Dharma brothers and sisters, having a pastor telling you how to continue, how to inspire you on the path is what we all need, as inspiration for our practice. Okay, so whoever you are on right now, if you have questions, let me know. So I think at this time with Rinpoche's anniversary of his Parinirvana and the consecration of his indoor statue, Stupa, it is good time to reflect of what we have, what brought us into the Dharma, what aspect of Rinpoche's teachings. Was it a message that comes along with a gift? Was it a meeting with Rinpoche? Was it an advice, a personal advice? Was it a teaching that Rinpoche gave to the public, but we gained something different, a personal inspiration from a teaching that Remji gave? So whatever it is that you had experienced, remember this and recollect, remember, relive it, and hopefully allow it to recharge you, to re-inspire you to do Dharma, to connect with a spiritual community or spiritual tribe. Nowadays we call it community. The community word is a little dated. We call community a tribe now. It's like the in word, I think. So whatever it is good to have community. It is good to be connected to community. Why do we need to connect with other students? It is good. It will always be good and bad in the sense that you cannot expect everybody to be perfect, even in a Dharma center. Okay, as Remji had said before, this is a hospital, a spiritual hospital, mental hospital, I think Remji said. It is a place where all of us have our issues, so don't expect each other to be perfect. Okay, we have to remind ourselves from time to time again. And one of the things when we don't expect people to be perfect is stop complaining. A lot of us like to complain. We're not happy about this, we're not happy about that, we don't like how things are being run, we don't like how we are ignored, we don't like that we are teased, joke, we don't like we don't like this, we don't like that. And then because of this, don't like this, don't like that, don't like this person, don't like that person, you don't like something was said, you don't like how we were treated, we don't like other people was treated, we saw it and we're not happy. Please don't do that. Whoever you are, whatever it is that you wish to connect, to accomplish in Kechara, if you have that kind of mentality, wherever you go, you will experience negativity, it doesn't have to be Kechara. So we have to go beyond that. Alright? How do we go beyond it? First of all is stop complaining. We have to stop complaining. We have to catch ourselves, because a lot of us, do not realize we are excellent, expert complainers. And when we complain, we bring people down. At home, we bring the energy down because we complain. So we want to bring it here because whatever it is, some of us are not happy with how we are in life, and this what Dharma is about. Is understanding who we are. So one of the ways we do is to complain. So we have to. I won't say some of us are so habituated in it to eliminate completely because we will go through withdrawal symptoms. Can you imagine having withdrawal symptoms from complaining? I know a lot of people, a few who will go through withdrawal symptoms if they stop complaining. So whatever it is, what we can do is we lower the complaint. How can we lower? I mean, lower as in the number of complaints we utter. Is be aware of our speech. It is not easy, but it is something we should all do because it is the easiest to do. Awareness of speech and our body actions is the least form of practice we can do. Okay, it's very, very simple actually. We don't need Dharma actually to be aware, but at the moment, some of us, we do need extra vigilance. So what happens is we have to practice awareness. We have to watch what we say. So we have to watch. And how Remji does it is, even when Remji does, sometimes Remji does complain as well. I have heard it. But one thing about Remji is that when Remji complains about something or someone or a situation or a problem, he always view it from two perspectives. It's always from one perspective, and negative and also positive. So when we complain, we always forget to view it from the positive. It is as if we're happy that things are bad, and we want it to continue to be bad. So I hope we don't become like that and rejoicing on something bad happening, and that's why we like to complain and to bring people down, to bring situations down, to bring ourselves down. I hope not. Okay, don't be like that. So if we want to be part of a spiritual community, that's very important. Very, very important, because we live in being in the spiritual community, we have to be aware of each other. That's how we practice. Okay, so if you are someone who is on the witnessing someone complaining, pull them aside, tell them very nicely, tell them gently. Gently is very important because sometimes we don't realize it, but when we are in the heat of observing people complaining, we get irritated, we get annoyed, so we tend to be harsh with our words. So we have to be gentle with our words, be careful with what we say, and make sure that they understand what they're doing. And usually it doesn't take much. It does not need to, you don't need to explain so much because they are already aware. All we have to do is bring the attention. We have to be brave and courageous in that sense. Are you courageous? Do you care for the organization? Do you care for Remji? Do you want to practice compassion? Do you want the innate compassion? You can start by doing this. You know, when someone who does something wrong, as in the 50 verses of Guru devotion, is when you see another Dharma brother and sister doing something wrong, pull them aside gently. Say it's stated in the 50 verses. Tell them gently, tell them nicely. Of course, I'm not saying exactly verbatim with as in the 50 verses, but the meaning is the same. All right. So whatever I'm saying is not I'm making it up. You know, it's from, like in this instance, from the 50 verses. All right. So it is important. It is important that all of us connect. And I think there's a little bit more synergy because of all the activities we've been doing, which is nice. We've been, a lot of people volunteered for the Stupa insertion, for the making of the tsatsas, the rolling of the mantras, yeah, and so forth. So it is nice, and do try to keep it up. Don't just for this season only. Anyway, we still have another stupa to go, and also the insertion of the statues, and so we do have a lot of work, a lot more work to after this. But rejoice, at least we have completed in this 1 year. We have gone through a lot of obstacles, in the sense that we had the COVID, the lockdown, the MCO, and travel restrictions. We had a lot of obstacles, and finally there was breakthrough, and we managed to pull through the indoor stupa. Congratulations to all who have contributed, and if you have not contributed, please do so. It's never too late, because we still have the outdoor stupa. Okay, so it is important that when we've realized we've missed some opportunities, don't beat ourselves. Just move on. You know, there's other things, and we can always connect to Rinpoche through later work. You know, like the outdoor stupa. So it's never too late. Don't worry about that. Yeah. So the Parinirvana, the whole point about this project is twofold, I think. In a sense that one of them is to accumulate the merits, to gather the merits, so that we're able to get a sign of Rinpoche's incarnation and start the investigation, start the process. Okay, I think some of you were wondering what kind of process is this. In a nutshell, a very simple explanation would be this. This one is a little bit on the mystical side. Okay, in the sense that you'll be relying heavily on signs. One of the most common signs of Rinpoche's incarnation, the whereabouts of Rinpoche's incarnation, will be through dreams. And unfortunately, it will not be very straightforward. It will be coded, you know, sort of like it needs to be deciphered. So what happens is we need to observe dreams, and all of you, if you have dreams of Rinpoche, please inform the pastors, Lin Kui, or JP, or any of the pastors, or any senior Dharma brother and sister, so that it can be delivered, because we are collecting all these dreams, recording. So when you have a dream, write it down. Okay, most important is write down. The moment you wake up and you have a significant dream of Rinpoche, write it down before you forget, because you know why? We always forget. It will fade. The memory will slowly fade away. Unfortunately, so it's important to write it down as quickly as you can, so that we capture as much details as possible. So the details is very important, because sometimes in the smallest detail will hold a clue. All right, and from that dream, the clues in the dream, we're able to start the investigation. Perhaps we can ask Doji Shukden and to further elaborate on or to point out, perhaps the dream perhaps indicates that, or perhaps it, you know, in Kuala Lumpur, Rinpoche will be born in Ampang, for example. For example, okay, you wish, I wish too. If Rinpoche is born in Malaysia, wouldn't it be so nice? Most likely not, but you never know. Let's say Rinpoche is reborn in Ampang. So, okay, the indication seems to be Ampang. Is it Ampang, Cheras, or Petaling Jaya? So could Doji Shukden please indicate where the unmistaken incarnation of Tsem Rinpoche, where he would take rebirth, or where he had taken rebirth? So, you know, we asked Doji Shukden, I mean, not through the statue lah. We asked Doji Shukden through the oracle, Chojela, you know, Chojela entrance, and then the oracle of Doji Shukden will give a pronouncement. Sometimes it's a further in poem that perhaps indicated, no, it is not Cheras, it is not Petaling, but it could be Ampang, it could be in, you know, it could be in Kelantan, it could be in Johor, and it could be in Penang. So you know, perhaps something like this lah, you know. So from this, it will be back and forth. Finally, a location will be pinpointed, and then we will have to go to that place and look. Literally, look, in the past, this is going to be interesting because in the past, as far as I know, in Tibet, it's easier because all they have to do is go to the area, go to the local monastery. Every area in Tibet has a monastery, and every monastery is connected to the local people because the local people sponsor the monastery. So they come and do pujas, pay for pujas, sponsor the monks. So there's a lot of contact, and then some children. So the lamas, usually the monks of the monastery, will be aware of the happenings of the local area. So they will, if there's a particular unusual child, almost everybody will be aware in the area. So it's just go there, interviewing the child, setting up Rinpoche's, perhaps his Dharma and something similar, his mala, his glasses, his mouse. Rinpoche used to go on the block a lot, perhaps his own personal mouse, for example, and then another similar object. So the young child would have to pick, and then also have to observe the child, whether the child recognizes students from the previous life. Because most incarnate lamas, when they're very young, they can even name the person upon sight. If they've never seen this person before, but was a previous student of the lama, the deceased lama, they can name the student, and they will show a lot of signs that they can remember their memories of previous life. So that's one huge indication. So from there, usually a few candidates will be handpicked, and then from there it will be further divinations need to be done, not just by Dorje, also by the High Lamas and all that. And finally, one unmistaken incarnation will be pronounced, and that will be the mind emanation. Because usually, Rinpoche level of incarnation would have many emanations. So by tradition, is classified into body, speech, mind, qualities, and activities. Okay, so usually 5. Of course, there'll be more, but these are the main ones. Okay, so the main ones is body, speech, and mind, qualities, and activities. So the mind, the body, speech, and mind, the mind will be, emanation will be the one that will be pronounced to be the unmistaken incarnation of Tsem Rinpoche. Alright, so that's how it's going to be. And then there'll be an enthronement ceremony. And once enthroned, perhaps if the child is too young, then maybe it will be delayed. It will just be an unofficial recognition first, and when it comes of age, then perhaps enthroned, and then the instruction was to bring Rinpoche back to over here. So we will have a different set of challenges that time. So it depends where Rinpoche takes rebirth, and wherever he takes rebirth, there will be in each a set of challenges. But we have very, very devoted students of Remji here working together very hard, and I hope you guys will already are or will be, whatever it is, does not matter. Okay, so what matters is being a part of this, and being a part of this, what you get to accomplish is accumulate tremendous amount of merits, because what you're doing is, okay, we have trouble playing this video. I hope that doesn't mean that I'm disconnected. Am I disconnected? Okay, now I refresh. So what happens is, if you're on still, oh yes, I'm still on. Phew. Okay, so if you're, so the whatever it is that you accumulate tremendous amount of merits because you're being a part of the recognition of a Lama who will benefit tremendous amount of people in his lifetime, and you were part of it. You created a cause for him to do so. So there's a lot of merits to be accumulated. It's very powerful for any of us, in a sense of, for our practice, to further our understanding of the Dharma, to further our practice, our meditation, our retreats. We want to retreat. Some of us have problem concentrating. Some of us cannot, keep our mind still. It will be powerful in clearing our mind. You have no idea. And especially more important than that is gaining wisdom, understanding the teachings. You'll play a part in it. Okay, so for for students and friends of His Eminence Tsem Rinpoche is Parinirvana. Rinpoche's Parinirvana is an important day for all of us because he is our teacher. He is our teacher, he is our spiritual guide, he represents our spiritual practice. It's not him as a deity, but him representing our spiritual guide, representing our spiritual practice. It becomes a symbolic representation, especially now that Remji is not around anymore. It's even more important to celebrate in the sense of his life and to join in the puja, to join in the activities, to join together. Okay, so I thought it was important that all of us understand the significance in that manner. So yeah, so it's been 1 year since Rinpoche had entered into clear light. 4th of September was the moment Rinpoche entered clear light. For 2 days he stayed in clear light, Tuk Tam. So clear light is a death meditation. So death meditation does not mean that Rinpoche is he's still alive, and he actually had passed away, physically passed away, but his mind had remained in the body in a form of concentration, and during that time is dwelling in clear light. Because why clear light? That's our original state of mind. For advanced meditators, they will seize that moment to gain enlightenment, because our mind only surfaces, our Buddha mind only surfaces in a few moments in our life. One of them is when we in sexual bliss, one moment, for a short moment, and then another time when we are dreaming, another time when we're sneezing. I remember Remji said sneezing for a short time, but those times are very hard to capture it. And the most important one is when we die, and that moment is just momentary. It's very short. That is when, how do you know, is how we know about it is, especially the one when we die, is when people have near-death experience. And this is not in the text. This is something that is documented by all over the world, by people who had passed away, clinically passed away. Their heartbeat stopped breathing for a moment, and then they revive again. And usually when they come back, they will say that, oh, this is what I experienced. And what they experience is usually they see a tunnel of light. And that light is very bright, very calming. It has a feeling when you look at it. And that feeling is calmness. And sometimes from the light emerges, it could be Jesus Christ, it could be Buddha, it could be Krishna, it could be your mother, your father, your uncle, your aunt, or a loved one. Whatever it is, all this is a manifestation of the clear light, of that light. And that light is your mind. It's not anything else. It's your mind. All right, you're looking at it at the moment, and during that time is when you seize the opportunity. And during that time, advanced meditators enter into a meditation. So it's called Tuk Nam. Remji remained for 2 days. Okay, so as from 2 days to, it can last to up to a month, and then Rinpoche departed his body. All right, so that is the manner in which Rinpoche had passed away. So lamas who passed away in Tuk Tam means that they have power and control over their rebirth. They have gained very, very high attainments, very, very high. So they have some sort of control already. So a measure of control. So what happens is highly attained, and that he will return. Remji had promised he will return, and he gave us a series of things to do to ensure that when he returns, for us to find his incarnation. I know it's usually worded in prayers and all that, and motivation, like, to make sure that Rinpoche comes back. No, and Rinpoche will definitely come back. He will return in the sense that he will take rebirth. As a human being, he will not be compelled to take a negative lower rebirth like some of us would if we don't practice the Dharma. But most important is that it's to find his incarnation. All right, so Let me see if you have any questions about this. Then I suddenly see a lot of comments. Sorry about that. My screen is really weird. I see Jacinta, Kelvin, Sharon Ong, Phoebe, Bradley, Fuk Swan Wang, Kinho, Helena, Victoria, Kelvin, Dr. Ming, I think, Bradley, Victoria, Guang Ming, Chung, Jacinta, Wei Ting. And then Sharon says this: I totally agree with you. Rinpoche was the only teacher who could break it down for many Buddhist concepts that I had problem understanding. The video that changed my life is Nothing Changes, Everything Changes. Sangye, David Chu, Pastor Hani, Andy Lee. Oh, nice to see you, Andy. Good to see you here. Chung, Victoria. Okay, no questions. I thought it was questions, but it's nice. Chung says he's quoting: be diligent in all your actions, alert mindful not to forget your word of honor. Fellow disciples transgress what is proper in their behavior, correct each other in friendly manner. Correct. That's what I was trying to explain. That all of us should, when we observe something that's wrong among ourselves, we should take steps to do something about it. First thing is do something, not ignore it. Because some of us, we rather not stick our necks, we rather not ruffle people's feathers. We don't want to go on people's back, what do you call it, bad books. You know, we don't want to get an argument. We don't want no confrontation. That's our usual way. So we feel reluctant to address people when they have done something wrong or they behave in a not good way. Right? So we should have some sort of courage. But when we have courage, we don't burst out and scream at people and, you know, become a disciplinarian. We're not, especially if you are not a person of, you know, of authority in organization, and or you are junior or you're a senior. Some of us, you know, we think that, oh, because I'm junior, I shouldn't address the senior because it's disrespectful. Yes, correct. That's why you still can, you still should, but you have to do it in a correct manner. Sometimes if the person is doing it perhaps is a senior person, it would be better to address another senior to talk to this person rather than go directly. Sometimes it depends on the situation. All right. So we have to, one of the things about helping people, being part of a community, is being skillful. So skillfulness is knowing when and where to address people correctly. To correct people, to say the things, because there are some situations we should not, we should not take all situations to be one. So skillfulness comes with growing up. It comes with experience. It comes with challenging ourselves, sticking our necks out sometimes, making mistakes. Sometimes we will make mistakes. We shouldn't think it's the end of the world. We shouldn't be offended. We shouldn't want to run away. We shouldn't feel embarrassed. We should not. And if you make a mistake and you feel like that, then you have not challenged yourself very much in life. So it would be good to learn to challenge yourselves a little bit more, one step at a time, starting with addressing people when you see something that's not right. We should do something about it, and we should be skillful. When you want to do something, you also have to be skillful. All right. So usually it's better to address it, bring to attention another senior member, or a senior, or a person in charge, or a pastor about that. Sometimes already something is being set in place already. We may not be aware of. So maybe perhaps we shouldn't address the person directly. So whatever it is, skillfulness is important. It doesn't have to be in an organizational structure like what I've just explained. It could be it doesn't have to be in Dharma alone. It can be in your family. It can be in your, your work environment, your office, your factory, whatever it is. All right? The same principles apply. Okay, so when we do find Rinpoche's incarnation, I explained in the other live stream, but I don't think it was. I think it was already disconnected, so I didn't manage to. I'm going to have to repeat it. I hope I can repeat it the way I said it just now. When we find Rinpoche's incarnation, yes, Rinpoche will not be able to teach you directly like the way he used to. He will not. Bear in mind, Rinpoche, when we find him, he will be a baby or a little kid, a little child that needs to be nurtured, needs to be taught. He will exhibit signs. Definitely, he will exhibit signs. He will exhibit signs in the sense that he will probably have memories of students from previous life. He will show it. He will say it. He will say certain things. He will do certain things to indicate that he remembers you. He remembers what he did for you. And that will be enough. That will be enough to convince any of you, because it will be personal for you. Most of it will be personal. It will be personally for you because it will be a testament, it will be a teaching for you that reincarnation exists. Reincarnation is real, because at the moment it's just theory. It's a theory in our head. Okay, reincarnation is real. It's a foolproof. Remji will exhibit a proof right before our eyes. Reincarnation is real, karma is real. The Buddha's teachings does have effect. Practice has effect. The Buddhas exist, the Yidams exist, Lama Tsongkhapa exist. Dodeshuten, I'm sure it already exists in your minds, but all the more reinforced in your minds that he is there. That Dharma does have power. Alright, so he will be a living proof and testament for all of us, and that will be the teaching he will give every single one of us. And all of us have to make this journey, and Rinpoche will do it out of his own attainments. We will depend heavily upon our merits, the Dharma work we have done, the sadhanas we have been doing, and how much we have transformed. Will Dorje Shukden, who we will be propitiating in order for us, when we pass on, to take a good rebirth, we will rely on Dorje Shukden, and he needs us to do something too. He will need us to practice. He needs the merits. He needs the fuel for him to come to our aid, because otherwise he cannot do anything. He cannot do much. If Dorje Shukden can help us without merits, right, then he can help every sentient being. He cannot. It depends on the connection, it depends on the merits, it depends on affinity. So Rinpoche returning to us will be the teaching that will inspire us. It should inspire us to practice even more, because by then a lot of us will be older. A lot of us will have witnessed a lot much more. We will have learned much more, practiced much more, and it will be time for us to engage in more deeper practices, deeper formal practices, to ensure that when the time comes, we'll be prepared. We will take the journey that Remji did with less control, of course. So if we're able to be diligent, we will also it is possible to achieve Rinpoche's level of control in the sense of entering Tukdam at the point of death, and then doing the visualizations and injecting a mind into a pure land. It is possible for us still, but more importantly is to collect the merits to ensure that is possible. Okay, so that's what looking for Rinpoche is about. And then when he mature, because we are part of it, the merits will continue on. When Rinpoche will mature, he will benefit a tremendous amount of people, and all because we put our effort into Kechara at this moment in time where we're looking for his incarnation. So don't think it's just a ordinary activity. It was just a Kechara event. It's not. It's much more than that. So it is good to be a part of this, because it will be meritorious for all of us. It will be monumental for all of us, because how many incarnate lamas reincarnate in Malaysia or recognized in Malaysia, or how many lamas will pass away in Malaysia, and the students have built a stupa and are consecrating it. I don't think there's any others. I don't think there's any other. All right. Okay, so I think they don't have any question. So I think I will end here for the night. Thank you very much. And may we celebrate Rinpoche's incarnate in Parinirvana Day with a lot of prayers, aspiration, virtuous ones for Rinpoche's return, for us to find Rinpoche, for the obstacles to be removed, for the organization. It's not just about Rinpoche returning. He must return to something, you know. We also have to build up the organization. We have to be a part of it. We have to have, you know, activities. We have to nurture people. We have to practice the Dharma ourselves. All right? So it's more important for that. Chanchu Sencho Rinpoche, Mahi Panagyushe, Kebaya Mami Bayang, Gone Go to Pewasho, Tony Tonga Rinpoche, Mahi Panagyushe, Kebaya Mami Bayang, Gone Go to Pewasho, Dasojin Sapagi Wadi, Dana Draw, Gunlang Kampada, Jebo Jozo Lawson Drapai, Tamping Purindo Sa She, Kewa Gundo Yana Lamada, Jeme Joki Pala Lonjoche, Sada Langi on the Rajotni, Doji Changi Gopang Yutosho, Kewadi Yututa, Lama Sangi Juni, Chua Chika Malupa, de Salako. Chujabo Songapa, Chosonama Biawala, Gikishama Jiwada, Tuni Malosha, Dada Shenge Dosunda, George Letani, Yawala Sondrabai, Tamparimpa, Gushe, Nemo Della Santala, Neme Goya Della Shin, Yasantatu Della Conscious Yulo, conscious conscious Tashi, Jason Lama Kosora Tenshi, Namkachi, Pada, Lawson Tabe, Johnny Sanson, Drummers of Dr. Negushi, Gani Ravi Koishing of the Pendant Malukoin, Cherese 1000 gets a sharp city Badu then Gushi, Home Tobin or Drumalopa, then the Dallas or so, Cotton Table, gave us shook then sell. Thank you, everybody, and good night.